Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now. I can see you now and then. I can see you now.
The Straight Shootin View.
Hey everybody, what is up? My name is Straight Shootin LJA and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shootin View. Now, where I want to go with this one is talking about Amazon, who are slowly taking over the world, more on that later, and the BBC. Now, there's been a lot of conjecture recently, obviously, about the BBC and how are they spending taxpayers' money and all that. But I'm not going to get political on this. Where I want to go with this one is talking about the Champions League. The champions! Da, 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 da. Because from 2024 until the 2027 season, Champions League highlights for the first time will be coming to the BBC, and Amazon have jumped in and will be getting rights to live matches as well. So they'll be sharing that honour with BT Sport. So this landscape is about to get very interesting. Now, the deal is worth £1.5 billion, which is £500 million up on the previous deal, which is, of course, big money. Very much big money. Remains to be seen, though, where Gary Lineker's allegiance will lie, because there will be a highlight show hosted by the BBC. So, will Gary Lineker stay in his role with BT Sport, hosting their stuff? Or will he move over to Amazon, or will he move over to his more regular home for Match of the Day of the BBC? That remains to be seen, and that's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. But in terms of a deal, it's been a while since we've seen European football on the BBC in any way, shape, or form. I mean, I grew up watching the UEFA Cup games. On there, like Newcastle's UEFA Cup runs back in the mid to late 90s, with David Ginola's goal against Ferencváros and matches against Metz, among others, being played on there. And I won't go into too much detail with my memories of that, because I kind of did that on my Straight Shootin View about Channel 4 getting England games in terms of their Nations League and their friendlies. Personally, haven't really been impressed with their coverage so far. They seem to be overusing Steve Wilson, as they've used him literally for every game they've had so far. Bit of overexposure, needs some variation. There's a lot of commentators out there. Why just use the same one all the time? But that's a different story. And BBC, along with Amazon, well, it's on them. They have a pool of commentators to choose from. Amazon could cherry pick anybody they want, really. They'll probably go after the usual suspects like an Ian Dark. They'll probably go after someone like him. Maybe Peter Drury as well. You'll probably end up seeing on the Amazon coverage. The BBC have a plethora, and I'm really hoping they don't pick Jonathan Pearce for too much. But less said about him, the better. But there's a lot of commentators out there who they could use and rely on, and also show hosts. Jermaine Genius was doing the Qatar 2022 World Cup group stage draw, so his name could well be in the hat to host the BBC's Champions League programming. Alex Scott does a phenomenal job. For some reason, some people don't seem to like her. Don't get that at all, to be perfectly frank. She knows the game. She's got hell of a lot of knowledge. And it's on she hasn't played at the professional level. She hasn't played at the top level of the Premier League. She hasn't played in the Premier League. So the hell what? So one of them was her knowledge of the game is second to very, very few. And she's very articulate as well as obviously being pleasing on the eye. So, yeah, I'd say Alex Scott is definitely a front runner. And she's got a lot of presenting experience now under her belt as well. So, it's one of them where it's going to be interesting to see how BBC go and who they have to host. Because as I said, they may not be able to get Gary Lineker on a Tuesday or Wednesday night because of his BT Sport obligations, depending on how his contract's structured. But it's going to be... I am really happy to see the Champions League highlights coming back to free-to-air TV. As I've mentioned before on other episodes, I think that as much football on free-to-air TV as possible is nothing but a good thing. And at least in this case, the BBC are spending taxpayers' money in a good way. But I mentioned about Amazon earlier, and I have said on numerous occasions that Amazon slowly but surely are trying to take over the world. I've said that on my other podcast, the Straight Shootin Rants. And I've also said it in regards to football back in 2018 on my very early episodes of the Straight Shootin View. And Amazon, as I've said before, have the depth to not be outspent, but also they can afford to play the long game as well, that most others cannot afford to do. So, and I've always said that if Amazon jumped in straight away and were like, yeah, we want to buy Premier League rights or we want to buy Champions League rights, they'd get extorted for it. So they've dipped their toe in the water and gone the patient route about it. And now it's paid off because they're going to be splitting live rights with BT Sport. So this, all of a sudden, this becomes very interesting. As said, my early Straight Shootin View episodes, I think it was number 2, about Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, and Netflix taking over the footballing world, basically. Netflix, a little less so, but Amazon, they've got a number of Premier League games. They're now going to have, from 2024 to 2027, a number of Champions League live games. So it is one of them ones, man, where Amazon are a player. They really are. And I said they've kind of snuck in the back door with it. So it is going to be very interesting to see how good their coverage becomes, because it will get better. It will get better. Their coverage was all right. And hopefully Amazon Prime members still get those games bundled in, but you never know. You never know. With the cost of living going up, you'd hope they'd protect that, but there is no guarantee of that, because at the end of the day, Amazon are a business, and a ruthless business at that, in regards to making money. They know how to do it, and they know how to do it well. So with football, it's really no different. The amount of football and documentary material they've got, like the All or Nothing series, which I think they've just taken Arsenal one for one as well. So it's one of them where Amazon know what they're doing in terms of like production and basically acquiring content, really. With Amazon Prime as a platform, their reach is huge. So the BBC and Amazon taking on Champions League games, highlights and live games respectively. BT Sport are a player in that space, but BT Sport have apparently been being shopped around in terms of trying to sell them. So this may well impact that 2024 to 2027 package if BT Sport are sold in that time. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that shakes out as well. And I'm going to be a very interested spectator in terms of seeing how this all shakes out. But you know what? I want to know your views. This is the Straight Shootin View. I want to know your views. What do you think about the BBC for the first time in their history getting Champions League highlights? Are you happy to see them back on free-to-air TV? It's been about, 10, 15 years since ITV... Well, it's been a while since ITV have had them. So it's one of them. I think it's been 7 years since ITV lost those rights to BT Sport, ironically. So, hey, are you looking forward to it? Do you think the BBC are going to do a good job? Who will be the lead anchor, the presenter for BBC's highlight show, their Champions League highlight show? It's one of them ones. That's going to be interesting. Amazon, will they get more of a foothold? Will BT Sport be sold before 2024? And how will that affect the 2024 to 2027 cycle of Champions League rights. They're already worth £1.5 billion, which is already 500 million up from the previous cycle. So it's going to be very, very interesting. And how will Sky Sports respond as well? www.pitch-talk.com is the official website. Everything about us you can find there. You can listen to our podcast on the website and see video versions as well. Speaking of videos, youtube.com/Pitch Talk for all of our videos, including Pitch Talk at the Cup Final Series and much, much more. Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Verbal, VURBL, Ghana, GAANA, TuneIn Radio, Player FM. So many places where you could pick up the Pitch Talk podcast. So why haven't you done it already? Go do it now. Go do it now. Give us a rating, like, subscribe, all that. It all helps out. We're also on TikTok as well. Find Pitch Talk on TikTok with some short clips, some fun clips, and all that talking points and all that jazz as well. We're on TikTok as well. We're also on Reddit. Pitch Talk are on Reddit too. YouTube.com/Pitch Talk, Facebook.com/Pitch Talk. Become a fan, become a friend, become a member of the group. Join the footballing revolution we are working so hard to create. At Pitch Talk on Twitter. Tweet with us, follow us, see what we're up to. At Pitch Talk on Instagram for vlog and podcast previews and much, much more as well. I have been Straight Shootin LJA, and until next time, see you again on the Straight Shootin View. Thanks for your time, peeps.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution.
Check out the official Pitch Talk website.
www.pitch-talk.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to Pitch Talk.
We are fans of football, dropping vlogs, videos and podcasts on the beautiful game.
Check out our videos on YouTube and Instagram's IGTV,
including special feature segments,
5 minutes with the G,
the Straight Shootin View,
coaching with JBK. We produce, record and edit video content
and audio on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Verbal, Podomatic,
Anchor,
Spotify
and other podcast platforms.
Join the Pitch Talk revolution on Twitter, Instagram,
Facebook
and www.pitch-talk.com.
The pitch is where we eat.
The pitch is where we sleep.
And the pitch is where we talk.
I can see you now.